It is another jam-packed episode of the Protect You podcast, live from Studio Triple J, or the Doghouse, since we are, in fact, the pup. Jake Wilson alongside Jay Mickens for another great episode here, folks, because we got a lot to talk about. Some news happening both internally and externally, with some news coming down from the NCAA and the many committees that decide how things are run over there. But Jay, will start out here with talking about just how good the weekend was again for a lot of action for guys both within Protection United, as well some action for both of us. Obviously, fantasy football taking some center stage on Sunday, but there's a lot to talk about.
No,
sure.
Definitely, bro. We got a jam-packed show. I'm sure our fans don't really care that much about our fantasy squads. 2-1, by the way. Just want to throw that out there in all my leagues. However, we're in a situation where now we're getting to come down and show love to our college kids as well as our kids here in high school in our open segment of if you ball, you get the call. So definitely excited to jump into this. First one would be our guy, Tata Byers, right? Jumping out, getting his first set of carries at University of Rice. So happy for Tata. I mean, this kid worked his butt off, known him since, he was 12 years old. One of the, I would say, Hall of Famers, right, for Texas Ponds Elite, the select tackle football organization here that we also run here at Protection United. But, just great to see Ty, getting, opportunity at University of Rice, which once again, right, is not just a football school, but also a high academic school as well, Jake.
Absolutely, because we talk a lot, too, about finding the right places, right? Talk about finding the right schools for you, both in terms of a personality fit and then obviously too as a scheme fit, right? And so it's good to see that Tai is really starting to fit into those roles, finally getting able to show his stuff, things that got him into that Division I level. And as a true freshman, I think can't really go understated enough, right? Where you're talking about the upperclassmen are going to get those shining roles. They're going to get those opportunities to be the stalwart backs, but as an underclassman, you take the reps that you can get, and then you try and make the most of them. And Ty definitely doing a lot of that early here at Rice.
Yes, he is. No, and, hey, it's nothing better than a true freshman getting the opportunity, right, to get his feet wet, right, kind of cut his teeth on the college senior. A lot of this is a reset, right, and it feels like a reset button because you go from being the man to where you never come off the field, right, to now, and that's going back to select football world. Then you go from being the guy that's only on one side of the field, right, because you're not a two-way starter with the exception of a few, right, however, right, and now you got to go to being 3/4 on the depth chart, right, so it's tough from a mental standpoint, but, obviously, as you can see, Ty's doing a phenomenal job. He's staying locked in. He's starting to garner a lot of attention on and off the field. I just got to get my guy to say yes to some of these outside endorsement deals that we're bringing to him. Ty's picky. He's a picky guy, but I love my dude.
Understandable.
But so proud of him and everything that we hear, right? We have connections with, the coaching staff at University of Rice, great men over there. Chad Johnson, big shout out to our guy over there, head recruiter, as well as player management and development over at University of Rice, and got an opportunity to talk to Chad. And he told me, he said, Jay, he goes, man, Ty's killing. He's doing a phenomenal job on the field, in the weight room. He's staying locked in. He's handling his business in the classroom. And he told me preseason, he's like, hey, he's going to get reps as a true freshman. He's going to play. And, now getting to see this come to fruition over these past couple of games, man, I could not be more happier than our guy Tata Byers.
And we've talked about this too, of the concept of you were the guy in high school. Now you get to college where everybody was that guy for their respective schools. So now that Tai is starting to pick up those reps, and it was interesting talking to him too before the season had even started, of him gaining that new perspective of what it's like to be 3-4 spots deep on the depth chart. It gave him that new perspective of, now it just fuels me to work even harder.
Right.
Because now I got something to prove of why I'm supposed to be here. So it's good to see that that's starting to pay off for him in a big way, a big way, because those starting reps, once you break the ice, you can really start to fall through.
Exactly. Nope. Exactly.
But two guys that are definitely the guys for their respective school out of Shadow Creek, one of the best high school 6A programs in the state of Texas, have definitely been climbing up the ranks, places like Max Preps and on Dave Campbell's, and that are the Gruesome Twosome and the Coleman Connection.
Yeah, I call them the Coleman Connection. Yeah, I mean, because what you're about to see is two twins connecting, right? They grew up connected, Jake. I don't know how twins were formed from a technical standpoint, but if we go with the cartoon version, you're taking a big old human, you cut it in two, now you got two, right? Two for the price of one, where you obviously Tavis Coleman, QB1, looking for number 14, Bryce Coleman, right? So they look at the connection. I mean, I wonder how many balls that they've caught together, but, great touchdown, Bryce, like I've mentioned multiple times. It's transitioned to tight end for this young man. You want to talk about someone that cares about his future, right? Also having an opportunity with, his mom and dad, right, with Sam and Deanna, like of listening, right, and understanding bigger picture, not worrying about Facebook likes, but what's best for the future of Bryce. And that tight end position, which is a spot, Jake, that we know all too well is very important, including fantasy football, right? You got to have a tight end. And Bryce Coleman is looking the part. Look at him dancing in the end zone, doing his thing. Hopefully he goes TikTok viral as well as another young man that we're going to show at the end of the show. But love seeing Bryce, love seeing Tavis connect. And they're doing it, as you mentioned, Jay, on the biggest stage possible here at Texas. 6A football doesn't get any bigger in the nation than on that level. And you look at a young program in Shadow Creek, where, once again, all these young men, including Tice as well as, Bryce and Tavis, they're 2027, right? So they got a whole nother year, but the things that they're doing on the football field, is going to be amazing. They're in a great district. We know when the playoffs start here in Texas, is the dogs against the dogs, right? The moment that week 11 begins. And I just can't wait to continue to watch both of these young men continue to grow within their craft. As we mentioned before, Tavis training with one of the best QB trainers that I would say money can ask for, right? The guy that's trained, Shador Sanders trained Cam Ward, right? The number 1 overall pick in this past NFL draft, and Tavis is a part of his roster. So when you continue to look at these two young men develop and go in the season, I think they're currently sitting 3-1, I believe, right? Overall, beat a really good Manville team. Historically, Manville's been really good, and they went out and took care of business, and they're going to continue to do what they're doing.
Yeah, and the only loss on the season, too, people throw around the concept and the idea of a good loss or a bad loss.
Right.
They're looking at what might be one of the best losses in the state of Texas to one of the best
in the nation,
one of the best teams in the nation, in the form of Summer Creek. So that natural born dynamic, from childhood all the way now onto the field, you're starting to see that connection pay off. And you can imagine too, Jay, that it was easy going for them of just throwing the ball out on the out there on the yard, and now you're starting to do it on the turf. So that natural connection turning into a strong one at the 6A level. We're going to keep an eye on the Coleman twins, because that family has been doing one heck of a run here through these past couple of months.
Sam and Deanna, shout out to the Coleman parents. Y'all just produce excellence.
Yes.
Absolutely. To have, one already at the P4 level, and then you got two more that's on their way. So definitely proud of the Coleman fam, man, and just honored that we're getting to represent all three of them. So the thing is, and I never understand this on all levels, why we allow the kickers to get us. But we'll talk about that on another day. But even in the pros, how does a kicker get? But now look at this. Kicker didn't get him on this one. Ooh.
No, way too fast.
Look at that speed.
Look at the speed on that.
Wait, is that real speed, or did we fast forward that?
No, that was real speed.
That was real speed.
That was real speed. Wow. We need to get a mathematician on that to clock the 40 time on that kick return.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, then of course, here we go. This made the Friday Frenzy. Big shout out to those guys for providing this footage through Rod Kenny. But right here was the play of the week. Not only does he high point it, but Jake, it's another house call to the crib. This is his 4th pick six of the season. Jake, he's averaging a pick six a game.
That's insane, man. Insane production.
You think about that secondary with him, with Josiah Vilma. You're looking at dudes. Joshua was there. The Vilma brothers. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're doing on offense because we ain't got no dudes on offense to look at. We know
We know the
defensively.
defense can hold it down.
I mean, and the thing about it is Davis Kinney is showing America how good he is. You're looking at a young man that is already a national recruit, came in this season, highly recruited, currently committed to Northwestern. I'll be lying to you if I didn't say that we aren't fielding calls. We are getting schools that are blowing us up week by week because the more Davis balls, the more I get calls. Like, I'm the one getting the calls. Schools are all over the nation wanting to know, why did we miss out on this kid? How are we find more about him? And look, at the end of the day, we tell all of our athletes here at Protection United, we keep the main thing the main thing. If you are doing what you're doing, it doesn't matter what we do on our side. However, he is balling out, and I understand why these schools are reaching out. And I understand why they want to see if they can get in the run, if they could potentially get Davis to flip and decommit and commit to them, right? And so Davis has created a Jerry Lewis telethon over here, if you will, because when you are one of the top, DBs, right, in the nation, that's going to come with it, right? And, we're honored to be representing him. The fact that Davis is allowing us to handle all of these negotiations on his behalf and negotiate these future contracts, right, for him, for his services in this new world of NIL. And I tell you what, I know every DC in the nation is like, if I can get a young man like this in my secondary, that is not only a ball hawk, that's not only a dude on the field, but he has the high level IQ to play the position. He understands, position. He understands how to read the football, how to read formations, and he can do it in warp speed, right? We talk about that Wonderlic test that most pros have to take. Davis is showing that, hey, I don't have to take the test to show you that I have a very high IQ. And then, let's be real, I mean, got into Northwestern. Like,
you gotta have some smarts to get into a school like Northwestern,
right? So look, Davis Kinney is a young man that the future is so bright, and I'm just happy that the young man's getting to enjoy his senior season.
Yes,
there's something to be also said about you're competing and you're auditioning for a future job, right? Because that's just call it what it is. It's a job now in college. It's been a job. They didn't want to pay for the job. Now they got to pay for the job. Yeah. However, he's getting to have fun. I mean, you see the joy on his face after he scores, after his teammates, go do great things defensively. And so, hey, I think it'll be fun to be Davis Kinney for a week. Just to wake up on a Monday morning and be like, man, I'm the man. I walk all through the halls. Everybody's loving me. Teachers give me high five. Davis can probably park in the teacher's parking lot.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And they probably wouldn't even say a word.
And they would be, and they'd be like, yeah, that's his spot.
That's fine.
That's him.
That's Davis's car. You can park in the vice principal spot if you would like.
Yeah.
Or associate principal.
No, it makes sense because that's a rare combination too. You talked about the combination of having the tenacity of a ball hawk to be able to go up there, spot the ball, and then decide that that's mine. I'm getting that ball no matter who gets in my way. Alongside the smarts and the field vision of a field general, being able to direct traffic from that deep safety spot of push up, encroach backwards on your assignment. That's such a unique skill set because usually one guy, you specialize in one or you specialize in the other, or you're really good at one and you just happen to be okay at the other one. And so now Davis is able to elevate his play to a higher level. And of course, us at Protection United, we're able to show that off to the wider audience. You talk about all the time of people contacting you as this show is happening. Obviously, people like Rod, love to text in, love to call in on the show, and we appreciate that. But now coaches are reaching out and saying, hey, y'all represent this guy?
Yeah.
Y'all got this guy on the books? Let's talk. Let's talk brass tacks, see what we can come up with. And that's so great for a guy to be able to show off his stuff. And now with a wider audience here, it's starting to lead to a lot more.
No, exactly, Jake. And, once again, guys, a shout out, any comments, any things that you want to ask us, want us to reply, or you just want us to read your comments, or if you want to ask us a question, please go on our YouTube page right now. Computer Jesus is over there waiting for comments and questions to come on so he can read them all and kind of either get a response from Jake and I, or just kind of, ask a question to see if we can get it answered for you guys. But yes, Jake, you're 100% correct. When you're getting to represent a young man on the level of a Davis Kinney, it's just going to come with the territory, right? And, the fact that we are able to help, provide him a wider audience so we can ensure that the entire nation, knows who he is something that we love doing here at Protection United, right? It's easy for one to just go negotiate a contract and then just go away, right? We like to build relationships here at Protection United. We want to be involved in all of our athletes' lives, right? As well as their parents, right? And show love and support and just be, a part of their whole journey, right? Not just the transactional side like some others that are in this industry do, right? I mean, be amazed of how many times college coaches tell me, man, I'm so glad that y'all represent these athletes and not X, Y, and Z because they don't like X, Y, and Z because of how they do business. But anyway, Davis is phenomenal. Cannot wait to go watch him play. I mean, like Jake, we're going to get it on the books now. So if y'all want to come join us, fans, we are going to watch Davis play on, where's that date at, Jake? Oh, October 2nd. That's coming up. October 2nd. Man, we're getting to go watch Davis, Josiah, and Joshua. October 2nd. It's at Wheeler Stadium. You're in town. Come hang out with Jake and I. We'll be there in the building. We'll have our Protect You crew stuff on. Hopefully Jake can pull some strings and get us on the sideline for that game so we can.
Ears open.
We can do it, right? So, but anyway, excited. Can't wait to watch him play. And I mean, because what is that? That's in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Am I right on that?
Yes, you are.
Next week?
Yes.
A week from this Friday, we'll be there. So cannot wait to watch it in person. Maybe Davis will give us 2 pick sixes.
Potentially.
I think that what we should do, Jake, is be on the opposite end zone of where he is. So he's always coming up.
He's always I like that idea.
Yeah, let's
I like that idea. It'll be a strong performance there from Fort Bend Travis if they can get that going. Obviously, the stalwart defender like that, there's a lot that you can rely on.
Exactly.
And another guy that is incredibly reliable for the defense that he represents, and one of our out-of-state guys from Auburn, Alabama, and Auburn High School, it is none other than C.J. Jackson.
Oh, bro. C.J. Jackson, the monster. I mean, look, I've called it. I'm going to say it again. So when other people say it, Jake, we're going to be like, well, Jay, you said it first. This is the next Warren Sapp. I mean, look at his get off. I mean, to be so big, but yet to have like feet as if you're a skill player. I mean, like that is why he is one of the highest recruited interior linemen in the nation right now. You got a young man that is currently committed to Arkansas. Once again, someone else that is trying to, I would say, stay committed, but it's hard because when you got these other schools that are wanting his services, they're trying to get him, and I see why. I mean, what he is doing, I mean, he creates havoc. It doesn't matter if he's dead over the center, if he's in one of the gaps. It's hard to get hands on. I mean, even on that first clip, you notice that he split a double team. Yes, a double team. They were told to double him because he's a monster. So go double the monster, and he still shoots through, right, and gets, into, blowing the play up in the backfield. But you're looking at a C.J. Jackson that, is a newbie, right, with Protection United once again, right, keeping the main thing. His skills, right, is where it has gotten this young man to the point that he is now. But, applaud Mr. Jackson, Ms. Jackson, for, bringing us on, wanting Protection United to be a part of his continued journey, helping with promotions, building up his social media platform, and also, too, reaching out with our connections of all the colleges and the coaches that we've built relationships with all over the nation. And now he has an opportunity to, let's just say, increase his value on the stock market.
No, there's definitely a lot to be happy and to be excited about when you look at a guy like C.J. Jackson. He's got multiple solid offers on the table right now, but he is locked in and committed for the University of Arkansas and the Razorbacks. It'd be a very strong presence, a good mixture of having some nimble abilities to him while also having that sheer size that you want of an interior defensive lineman, sort of clogging those interior lanes that those running backs love to hit and then really start to accelerate through. If he's able to continue up this production as he moves forward through, he's 26? So he's got a lot to prove during these last couple of games of his senior year, but should he continue to produce the way that we expect him to, he's going to be hitting the campus over there at Arkansas pretty dang hard.
I agree. And let me want to correct you on one thing. I don't know if he needs to prove anything. I think he's already done that. I think it's just one of those deals. Exactly. Like continue, and I know what you meant by that, right? Because if you're not always working to improve your craft, then you kind of are lost in the sauce.
You're falling behind.
Right, exactly. So I knew what you meant. I just wanted to clear it up.
Oh, yeah.
So that way everyone understood what you meant by, using that word. But just like with Davis Kenny picking up, another offer from not Kansas, excuse me. That was our die. Yes. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
To him.
But Davis has picked up multiple other offers. You're looking at CJ kind of in that same boat. CJ, has offers from, Auburn, right? He has other offers that are about to come, his way. Whether these teams are waiting to see what was he going to do those first 3 or 4 games to make sure that it wasn't fool's gold, to your point, right? Because some coaches are going to look at it from that. However, he's a guy that we know is going to wreak havoc no matter what school he decides to go to. And once again, another great young man that's getting to enjoy his senior year, having fun and being dominant in the process.
No doubt on that. No doubt on that. And we'll continue to build and further hone his craft as he moves forward through this final high school season. And Jay, you've done an excellent job of keeping your finger on the pulse, both when it comes to what our athletes have been doing, what they've been needing out of Protection United, scheduling things like visits, scheduling photo shoots to make sure that they're constantly in the eye of the media. But one thing that goes a little undervalued here at Protection United is the way that you and the rest of us have been able to keep an eye on the happenings of the NCAA as we move away from this Wild West era of the NIL, where things have been honed in a lot more in terms of the outside endorsement deals for some of these colleges, fine-tuning the collectives and how that percentages are going to be split up. And now we see a further step taken with the transfer portal. News broke on Wednesday the 17th, and you were right there in Buffalo Wild Wings with your phone in your hand, and you said, guys, something big has just happened. And so through your personal X account, you were able to tell us that the NCAA announced on Wednesday the 17th that they will be moving to just one off-season transfer portal window. They will be getting rid of the spring portal is what they announced. However, the date for the new portal window has not officially been announced yet. So there's still a little bit of speculation as to when the timing of that is going to, play out. The talks were initially that this is going to happen in January, but then you got to worry about college football playoff teams. If guys want to transfer out of there, are they going to get a little bit more leeway? But still, a lot of things up in the air ahead of the big administrative committee meeting in October.
Yes, exactly, Jake. And, I might shock the world with what I'm about to say in regards to my personal feelings about this, but I think that is great. Like, I really do. I feel that this is a situation to where everyone is winning. And when, I'm negotiating deals, I like being able to sleep at night and know that, I was fair to the person that I negotiated against. They were fair to me. We both walked away from the table feeling like that we're winning. So let's break that down into the 3 parts of the victories here, right? Let's start first with the athletes, okay? There's a long line right now in the portal. There's a long line. A lot of people done got out of the line because it was so long. It felt like being at Disney World where you're at that spot and it says you are now 2.5 hours away for riding Magic Mountain. Right, because you're sitting there so long, or waiting to go ride the Epcot ball because you're in that line. There's so many people there. Now this thing is going to start being a little bit more regulated from the standpoint of that. Now, once you get to a school, you're going to be there. It goes great for the athlete that's already there that doesn't have to worry about looking over his shoulder. If somebody comes in the spring, they do all that they could do in the spring. They know that they got their spot. Also, from the forms of negotiating their NIL as well, because now we can do a 13-month deal to where we hold out, because if the law does pass to where they're trying to push this new window to January, right? And that way there'll be a couple of weeks in January to where the portal opens and closes. It gives those athletes an opportunity to basically have us negotiate on their behalf and say, hey, look, now we don't have to worry about spring, Mr. Coach. So you don't have to, or GM, you don't have to tell us, hey, we can't negotiate a bigger deal because we might need to save money for transfer portal guys. That goes away now. Now we can lock in a fair deal. And then now the athlete is going to be covered and protected. Now, let's go real quick to the student side, right? Because the athlete does have like children accounts, if you will, underneath them, right? There's like 3 little legs that stick off. We just mentioned 2. Well, the third one is the student part, right? Most schools do start traditionally in January, which means that in order for the athlete to not get too far behind in their classes, they need to be on campus. That's the reason why that they originally set that first one for December, because they felt the portal's open in the middle of December. It ends at the end of December, and then you're going to be at your school. Now you're going to be enrolled in classes come the first week of January, and there's nothing to be lost. So I think that's why they're still trying to figure out, me personally, and I know what you're saying, Jake, in regards to the bowl games, in essence of, well, what happens when the national championship is in the middle of January, and these athletes are like, crap, like, this guy's not going to the league now. I'm a backup quarterback. I have schools that want me to come play for them, and I can go start. What do I do? What do I do? Right? I don't know how they eliminate that. You know, me personally, I feel like that if schools could somehow be like more quarter system, right? You know, we have some schools here that are like that. La Tech is one of them. You know, maybe that would fix the overall problem. Now, I know that they don't want to change everything around academically, right, for sports. However, you are looking at a situation of where that's why that is having an issue there. And we got to figure out the student part of it. Now, the other side that is another benefit is now for the coaches, right? Let's talk about the coaches for a second. They now know my roster is going to be locked in at least for a year versus locked in for just 6 months at a time, right? So that's going to be a huge benefit for those guys, because now they can go recruit the high school kids more. They can lock those guys in. And then they can also know, hey, whoever comes to me within this new one portal window, I have them locked in until the very next year. And you don't have to worry about all the back and forth and trying to go hunting in June, July. I mean, we saw some schools literally trying to put those last 3 and 4 pieces together. And so now that part is going to be resolved. So I do feel all in all that this is a great thing. I don't know how other people feel about it, because I think that some might think they've lost leverage. But once again, if we're really in this thing for the right reasons, and it's to make sure that these young men and young women find homes that are going to be good for them, that's going to treat them right, that are in love with them, not just love them, and it's going to give them an opportunity to compete at the highest collegiate level, then why would we want to do anything different to stop that from happening?
Absolutely, Jay. Absolutely. There are some finer details in this article here. ESPN's Max Olson is the author of this article, where they talk about the initial proposal for what this window is going to look like is it would wait until January 2nd, which interesting that you're going at that page too, because that is the completion of the college football playoff quarterfinals. So we're already deep enough into the playoffs where we're considering close to a national champion. And so the issue of what are those players going to do on the playoff teams, they said that they're going to give them a deadline of 5 days after your team is either eliminated from the playoff or you win the national championship. That will be when your window starts, is you're given 5 days after your team is concluded its postseason play.
Well, I mean, and my response to that, Jake, would be, well, if they're going to do that, that's still, I feel, not really truly fixing the problem. And here's why. Most schools are not going to want to wait, right? If you're a college and you're like, I need a running back, and there's 6 in the portal, and even though you might like another running back better, that this team is still competing, right? They're in the playoff. There's no guarantee that kid's going to come to you. So then you're going to pass on the other 6 with the hope that number 7 comes your way. Then he goes somewhere else, and now you don't have anybody. So although they're going to extend that to those guys, in all reality, is everyone going to wait?
Right.
Right. And that's the other side of it, especially with now only being one portal.
Also true, because too, they talk about how loaded that December calendar is, where you're talking about end of the season, bowl games, coaching changes, because that's where a lot of staffs depart for new jobs. guys get laid off, and then you have to replace those new people. So you're having to deal with all of that on top of now a wide open transfer portal. The decision to move it to January does make sense in that aspect of alleviating some of that stress and making sure that things are a lot less hectic for the program and a little bit to the athlete side of it too,
Right.
of you're waiting to see if your offensive coordinator gets a head coaching job. Maybe you
Right.
want to follow him to that next
Right.
school, but you're not going to find that out until
Right.
late December if you're lucky
Correct.
for some of those changes. So it does make sense that they're deciding to push it in towards the new year, but there's still a lot of ironing out on the pure details of the date,
Right.
and then the length of the window is the biggest part.
No, I agree. And that's the reason why, like for me, and this will be in a perfect world, right? But if you could have a situation happen to where the portal would be open for, let's say, because national championship is normally the middle of January, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have it to where you say from January 16th to January 31st is when the portal is open and when it closes, because then it's now equal and it's fair for everybody. Now, the only problem is going back to the school thing, but maybe you still have those young men stay in class at the schools that they're currently at. I get that all credits don't carry over, and I understand that. However, it's not like that they can't figure out a way to get caught up, right? With technology these days, with all the other things that can be done, even if they have to miss a month of school in the month of January, maybe they figure out, okay, look, this is how you're going to have to get caught up. Maybe it's we got to extend you out to May when everybody else is getting out in April. We got to extend you out until June, which a lot of these guys are taking classes over the summer anyway. That's how a lot of these dudes are graduating in 2.5 and 3 years of actual playing college football. I mean, how many people do we represent now that are post-grads?
Very true.
And they got 2 years eligibility left, right? So if we could just figure that out, because I'm telling you, that 5 days is just window dressing unless you're a 4 or 5 star and you're having conversations. But once again, that's illegal.
Yes.
You can't have a conversation with another school if you're not in the portal. So then how can you let somebody know, hey, hold off on me and let me finish winning this natty, and then I'm going to jump in and then I'll be all yours. Like, that can't happen. So if they can figure out a way to have the portal be, like I said, the middle of January, that first day at the national championship, national championship on a Monday night every year, do it on Tuesday morning at midnight. Tuesday morning, midnight, portal opens up and it closes at the end of January. Let these young men and young ladies then go find their new respective schools, get enrolled first week of February, and then let's just roll.
No, it's something that I definitely agree with, to the aspect of why try and clutter everything together, right? Why try and force these coaches and these programs and these athletes to all have to work simultaneous to one another while there's already so much already going on? The media that surrounds the college football playoffs, the rankings, the television contracts, and then the actual playing of the game takes so much just to lead up to that point. And so now having to throw a transfer portal on top of that, where, let's be real now, you're sort of taking the advantage away from those playoff teams, right? Where we've talked about the power dynamics of what happens to the little guys with the creation of the NIL, what happens to those little guys. Well, now you're starting to see, okay, well, what happens to a team like an Ohio State that is coming off of a national championship game, while all the other schools that they've already eliminated have a leg up on them because they know what guys they need. They know what guys have already entered the transfer portal for them and what they need to replace them to try and retool for the next year. Ohio State is going to lose out on all of those guys. And sure, you could talk about, the rich getting richer and these big programs don't need that type of success. Well, then how are you going to create any level of parity in college football? How are you going to have those great dynasties that have become the staples of the sport, that have become the name recognition of why you continue to watch? Everyone wanted to watch Nick Saban because he was the greatest college football coach of all time when he was going, because of that dynastic capability. If you take away that opportunity for the top teams to continue to contend year after year after year by rebuilding and retooling from the transfer portal, then you lose that aspect of college football. So if we move it to a point where it isn't cluttered, like you said, Jay, we decompress, we have our national champion, and then the green light ticks on for everybody to hit that transfer portal. That would be most likely the best way to look at addressing that type of an issue, because several coaches have already come out. Ryan Day is quoted in this article of saying that he is against the transfer portal being erased in the spring anyways. He was quoted as saying, it doesn't make any sense to me. So you already have a little bit of pushback from some of the coaches, but it seems like most of them are in agreement that this is a good idea. Get rid of that one, because the issue of you play your spring game and then that transfer portal opens up in April, and now all of a sudden guys that you had and showed up pretty solidly in the spring game, now they're leaving.
Yeah.
So it's still just too much of a mixed bag to see which way it's going to lean one way or the other for where this new singular window is going to end up.
Yeah, and I will say too, Jake, and you kind of, you brought it up, but the one thing that I am most happy about this whole thing is the fact that all spring games now will be back in full effect. This past year, we had so many schools that were like, I'm not having a spring game, because they didn't want the big boys to come looking for their guys. I mean, of course, Ryan Day at Ohio State is going to say that he didn't want it to go away, because he could send his guys out and go cherry pick off the best athletes at the group of 5 schools, right? And the top FCS schools in the nation, to be like, cool, here's my receiver, here's my other running back, here's my left tackle, here's my center, right? Here's my DB, here's my linebacker, and just go cherry pick off of them, right? But now, the smaller FCSs, all the FCSs and all now the group of 5s, right? Now they will have their spring game, right? I mean, I'll never forget going to the La Tech, watching, Jalen. They said it was an open practice going to be held in Shreveport, Louisiana. And then we get up there and then we get to watch a little scrimmage. I'm like, oh, I see what they did there. They didn't want to make a big announcement and make it more about fair event, but they had to kind of hide it. Well, once again, how do you really evaluate these young men if you can't have a spring game? And if you can't, even some of the SEC schools, Jake, they had opportunity to still have their games, but they told ESPN they couldn't come because they didn't want it nationally televised for the same reasons, right? So I'm excited for it. I'm happy. I'm glad that the spring transfer portal is going to be eliminated. Now we can get back to watching football the way that I feel should be governed, as well as teams being formed, and then watching the high level of execution happen, once you get into the fall, getting ready for that next season.
No, it makes total sense to me, Jay. I love that. Again, the NCAA is stepping things up, right? They're forming those regulatory bodies. They're finding ways to iron out the issues that a lot of people had during the early stages of the NIL era, with players getting ridiculous amounts of compensation for their play. Now it's started to hone in a little bit more. Equivalence to their talent level is definitely a great way to try and focus on that. Splitting things up between the Title IX sports and then the money-making sports, it's definitely a great way to tackle those issues. And again, further iron things out, make things a lot smoother for both the program, the athletes, the agents, and then also now the viewers are able to better follow their programs in a more coherent method, because man, is it tiring sometimes watching where your guys are going from one program to another, where I might for this guy one year and he's gone in the middle of spring, and he's gone while I'm celebrating Easter Sunday.
Right. No, I mean, and it's funny, because I thought I was going to get to watch, Jalen and TJ Gray, play together, and TJ left after the spring ball, so I love what you just said there, because you're right. Now, when you see that roster in January, it's going to be the roster at least through the end of that year.
Those are my guys.
Yeah.
Those are my guys.
It's like fantasy.
Exactly. There you go. But yes, that was big news breaking down. Obviously, a couple of things do stay intact as well. The 30-day transfer portal window does open up after a coach is let go, whether that's UCLA with the window that they had open, Virginia Tech, and then now the breaking news of Mike Gundy no longer at Oklahoma State. There will be a transfer portal open there as well. So those things are going to stay intact as we figure out the end of season, off season transfer portal as well. But that is it for that segment here of the breaking news, keeping our finger on the pulse here at Protection United as we transition now into one of my favorite segments that we've been hitting here throughout these past couple of months, and it's the new members And the new additions to the Protect You crew, a couple of guys that we were able to go out and cover face-to-face throughout last week. And we start out here with a guy that was very excited to see us, dap me up several times throughout the course of the game, and I was just as excited to see him. And that is, of course, our guy, Darnell Jackson Jr., DJ Jackson.
I love it, man. No, I mean, Darnell's a young man that hit the scene as a sophomore, right? Started getting offers right out the gate. I mean, world-class speed, excellent route runner, great hands. And once again, special in the open field, So DJ was a kid that was very high on the list. That's a great picture of him, by the way. Love that. Love that black and white picture. Got the sweat, but his hair looks good.
Of course.
His hair looks good. You got to look good. But no, I mean, but DJ is a young man that, we're honored to get him, right? Definitely had a lot of competition out there for his services. And let's just say that Protection United won once again and being the agency that's going to be able to represent him. Obviously, right now, right, all we can do is help build his brand, and continue to help him get more offers, right, and do like what we're doing now, right, showcasing his skills and his talents on the football field through our social media as well as on our podcast here at the Protect You podcast. But I mean, look, this young man just last week, or excuse me, a few days ago, picked up another offer from University of Kansas, sitting now on 15 offers, and he's only a junior.
Yes.
Right. In 2027. He's a guy that doesn't even have to go camping anymore if he doesn't want to. He can just go rivals Nike, Under Armour, right? I think the schools know what he can do, and he doesn't have to just go, right, just to go, right? So, I mean, just once again, right, I mean, just coming across the field, just great catch, and then look at the acceleration.
And then turn on the jets.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that if you get the ball in his hands, he's going to be special, right? And so glad that we have DJ, right? I know Darnell Jackson Jr. is his government name, but I'm going to call him DJ. I like
smooth.
DJ. Smooth.
It's smooth like him.
It is.
Smooth like him when he gets out there on the field. And I had a great opportunity to meet with him face-to-face through that game at Grand Oaks between the great people of Cleveland, as we like to call them down here, on our other side show that we do. But, he was very humble in the way that he presented himself. He knew that in that game, with how versatile the Grand Oaks offense is and how well they've been doing, that he had to make the most out of his touches because he doesn't know when that ball is going to come his direction on any given play. So those handful of catches that he did get, he took full advantage of. You saw the deep ball touchdown where it looked like the bobble and the concentration wasn't there, but trust me, folks, there was a lot more to it than just the concentration. The get off the gas speed, losing the cornerback at the line of scrimmage, and then taking it to the house. It takes a lot more than just bringing the ball in. You got to get to the point where the ball ends up in your hands in the first place. But you see the blistering speed, you see the concentration, and then we did a little interview behind the scenes as well where he was so well put together during those interviews, very coherent. He got his points across. And at no point when he was talking about himself did he come off as the chauvinistic one, the braggadocious one who liked to talk all about himself. He said, no, the quarterback did a great job in finding me when I was open, putting the ball in my hands when he knew it was best for me to try and make a play. Talked a lot about that great team aspect. He talked a lot about his great head coach, Sean McDowell, there at Grand Oaks, too. Paid a lot of respects to him. And it was very...
Coach Mac.
It was very refreshing to see that a young man like that, who still has some time to improve on his craft further than what it already is, he's already got a lot in his tool bag.
Yeah, no, I cannot wait to, get to work with this young man to continue to help him do what he is doing. And, I think him and his mom both love the fact that he's at the point to where if he can just do what he does on the field, and if we can help take care of things off of the field, and then we come together, right?
Yes.
And figure this whole thing out. And with our team here at Protection United, being able to work with DJ, being able to help him understand, what's best for his future in regards to training, in regards to, like I said, camping earlier, and, communicating with the coaches, narrowing down what his top 10 is going to be, right, to eventually get to the top 5, to eventually get to the top 3, and then obviously picking that winner of who is going to garner his services on the collegiate level. But You're looking at a young man that's at a great program. Coach McDowell's a great man, great man, a man of leading, right? Young men, and their new offense and what they're doing over there. I know DJ is going to be a huge part of the puzzle over at Grand Oaks High School for the next couple of years.
And from one North Houston area talent unto another, one guy that we were very excited just to sit down and chat with.
Oh, man.
And now he is a part of the Protect You crew. It's the big body man himself, Brandon Abear out of North Shore High School.
Hey,
Woo!
hey, we finally got somebody for them show. Man. Hey, for my guys that are watching, they're big on the Texas High School football page, they know.
Yes.
You talk about two schools the most in there, Duncanville and North Shore. Well, we got somebody from the show, man. Brandon, great young man. It was hard to get him to smile on the Zoom. He did not want to smile. He was game-faced the whole time. And we had him smile a couple of times, but, great young man, 2027, playing tackle over at North Shore. And, let's be real. You're getting a start at one of the premier high schools in the nation, and you're only a junior, right? I think that speaks high volumes of this young man's talent, right? Once again, another product of Billy Mitchell's squad that he had in Select Football World, where he had Brandon and he had Jay Storm Knight. And then, of course, he had Dylan Mitchell, a.k.a. Autopilot, right? It's a reason that the Marlins just went and dominated all over the nation, right? When you got those kind of studs on that squad. But, Brandon's a great young man, highly intelligent, great feet, knows how to use his hands, very aggressive, right, in his blocks. Hate that we weren't able to get any video, but once again, he plays for North Shore, which means that everybody's seeing this young man play. But he's a guy that, once again, we'll be able to continue to help him get more offers, right? Help promote him. North Shore historically has made it, 3-4 rounds deep in the playoffs year in and year out. So he's someone that, we know that we'll get to go watch, right, when the playoffs start. Everybody doesn't get that opportunity, unfortunately, right? But North Shore does. And they're in one of the best districts in the state of Texas as well, right? Going against the Summer Creeks, the Atascocitas, the Kingwoods. There are a lot of schools over there that produce a high-level amount of talent on both sides of the football. And, we're blessed to have, someone that will help us in regards to a Brandon Abear.
Yes, absolutely. And we love us some big bodies here at Protection United. We love us some offensive linemen. So to see the big man, 6'7", 282, coming through and making the solid connection with the Protect You crew is always a joy to be a part of, because he, again, is a guy that we've just been super excited to talk about, and a guy that we've been super excited to meet with, of having just such sheer size, great measurables, and an excellent job of holding down his position out of that, I don't know, blind side tackle position, but definitely one of the best options for North Shore's offensive line, and a guy who can definitely hold her down in the trenches. He's still got a little bit more time in him as well. Class of 2027 guy. He's going to further hone and further sharpen those skills at North Shore. And then we rounded out here with one more very talented athlete and one more guy that we were also very excited to see. Another Alabama kid. Strong connection coming in from the executive assistant, was able to pull some strings here and set us up with none other than Rolly Pinto. Interesting name for the guy, but that ain't the only thing interesting about him. The 3-star wide receiver utility man for Piedmont High School out of Alabama.
Look at that smile, boy. That is an all-American smile, all-American haircut. Look at this kid.
And he's already fielding interviews.
Already.
You love this kid.
He caught 22 balls in one game. Some kids only get that in a season. Raleigh said, I'll see you in one game. It's funny talking to his dad. I'll never forget. Dad was like, he had to call coach. I said, Coach, that's too much. I'm like, are you crazy, Pops? I would love it.
Give me more.
Look at that. Is his number 22?
Yep.
So he caught 22 balls and his number's 22. That's pretty badass.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. Look at him. Look at him. He's like, man, I don't even wear a wide receiver number, but it don't matter, because when I ball the way I ball, I could wear 98 and I'll still be killing it. But yeah, you're looking at a young man that some people are comparing him to more like a Ricky Parcel, just a guy that is just a great route runner. He's sneaky fast, right? When he gets up on you, you think that you have the right angle until you realize, I don't, right? Currently committed to Jacksonville State, 2026, but he's currently holding 6 other offers, right? And once again, just another guy that I know could come in and play on that group of 5 level immediately and be an impact, right? He's one that has the height, he has the length, the hand size, another kid that knows how to go attack the football, understands how to break off his routes, great in the scramble drill. And then once again, takes the helmet off, puts the smile on his face, and he lets the world know, like, hey, I can do it, right? He will be a guy that can make money off the field, right? I mean, that's just what it is, being that influencer type, being someone that people just want to gravitate to. The future is very bright for this young man, and cannot wait to continue to work with Raleigh and see what else that we can do for him on and off the field.
Absolutely, because Protection United has a really solid reputation of getting guys into the portal, finding the right destinations for them. And we've talked several times about how there is nothing wrong with starting at that outside of the Power 5, or I guess the Power 4, as we currently sit at now.
Yeah.
There is no issue with that, because now you're able to build that resume, build that highlight reel, and get those big time plays that you can then go and say, hey, Power 4 guys, this is what you're missing out on because you didn't go after me when I was available in high school. So now you're driving up that demand. You're driving up that price a little bit as well for what you could demand in terms of compensation. So I think Rolly's got the right idea here. You start at that small, and then you show up and you show out at that next level. And then it pays off big time when you make the jump into the Power 4, soon to be revived Power 5.
No, exactly, Jake. And that's where you want to be. It's all about getting film. At the end of the day, you want to get film. Like, it's cool to say that you're at A&M, right? Or you're at a Florida, or you're at a LSU or a Bama, but you're sitting on the bench for 2 or 3 years. How cool is that really, right? Even if you're winning a national championship, you had nothing to do with, right? But you're on the team. I would say go get film. Go get film, and then you have options at that point. And the options don't always mean leaving. The options could be, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to have a great 4, 5-year career, right? Some guys get that extra year if they graduate early. And then I can go see what my future looks like from there, right? And so we always want to advise our guys here to make sure that we are doing that the right way. And Raleigh is just another example of a young man that still has big dreams and big aspirations. However, he understands and gets the assignment at hand. Go to a school that's in love with you, that's going to give you opportunity to play as a true freshman, and let's see what we can do from there. So I'm definitely excited and can't wait to see, what it looks like for him, no matter where he ends up going.
No doubt on that. And we talked a lot about the transfer portal, the moves that a lot of guys have been making, closing things down to now just the one that might be happening in January. We talked a lot about what the potential might be for some of the members of the Protect You crew, should they choose to jump into the transfer portal as well. But allow me to recount a story for you. The story of a man by the name of Joe Burrow. Some of you may know who he is. I'm astounded if you don't know who he is, considering the clientele and the audience of this show. But Joe Burrow starts out his collegiate journey as a member of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Let me take you back to the distant year, Jay. You ready for this? Of 2015. Somehow that is 10 years ago.
Wow.
Does not feel like it at all.
Wow.
But back in 2015, Joe Burrow arrives at the campus of Ohio State, and he redshirts for his first 2 years because of the guy that is ahead of him. And that is, of course, J.T. Barrett, guy who did see some play when he was at the NFL, but not quite at the level that a lot of people were expecting. But during those first 2 years, Joe Burrow sits behind him on the bench at Ohio State. Meanwhile, in 2017, a guy by the name of Stetson Bennett walks on at the University of Georgia. Walk-on freshman where he ends up as the backup quarterback behind Jake Fromm.
Okay.
Another guy who did also make the jump to the NFL, also just kind of fizzled out, but still a solid college quarterback for who he was. However, not too long after the fact, Jay, along that journey, a guy by the name of Justin Fields,
Yep.
a 5-star quarterback, commits to the University of
That's
Georgia.
right.
He makes that jump, and then it forces Stetson Bennett to then say, I know it's coming. I'm not going to be any part of it. I'll take my leave now. And he goes down to a place called Jones College, which first time hearing about them, but that's where Stetson Bennett decides to make his jump. That same year, we're moving now into the 2018 season, or the lead up to the 2018 season. Joe Burrow decides that he is going to pack his bags and leave Ohio State following the conclusion of their spring game. A little bit of irony there, coming back to bite at Ohio State after they advocated for the continuation of the spring window.
Ron Day wasn't the coach, I don't believe.
Not at that time. Not quite yet. But Joe Burrow decides to leave Ohio State as a grad transfer, meaning that he is eligible to start for the school that he lands at as soon as he gets there because of the guy that he is competing against. A guy, God rest his soul, named Dwayne Haskins moves in, and he is likely to take that starting spot ahead of Joe Burrow. I read an article where Joe Burrow was quoted as saying, I did not come to Ohio State to sit on the bench for 4 years.
Right.
I came to play quarterback.
Right.
And so with that disappointment, he leaves ahead of the 2018 season, and he lands, of course, at LSU. He has a pretty solid season, not quite to the peak that he would reach in 2019. He struggles a little bit, puts up some decent numbers, though, and the 2018 season ends. In that same window, Dwayne Haskins gets drafted into the NFL during the 2019, technically, NFL draft. With the window now open, Justin Fields says, I didn't come to Georgia to sit on the bench. I came to play quarterback. He takes his talents to the newly vacated spot at Ohio State that Joe Burrow had left to then become the starting quarterback for the Buckeyes. With that said now, Jake Fromm is still the starting quarterback at Georgia. Now Stetson Bennett gets back into the race and says, now nobody's behind Jake Fromm. Let me join back at the University of Georgia and become his backup.
Yeah.
And so as that all plays out, we move into the 2019 season, and Joe Burrow sets the world on fire. Dang near as close to a unanimous Heisman as we have ever seen.
Right.
Sets the single season passing record for yards and touchdowns, and he wins the college football national championship at LSU. And the last little tidbit here as well, the team that he played in the national championship game that year was Clemson. The team that Clemson had beat in the first four was none other than Ohio State, led
by Justin Fields.
So it all comes together.
It all comes. And the cool thing about it is you're looking at 3 of the 4 quarterbacks. Well, you mentioned more than 4 quarterbacks here. Obviously, Haskins, right? Tragic death, but he would have been in the league as well. But you're looking at the Stetson Bennett, that's the backup for the Rams, right? He backs up the great Matthew Stafford. And then you're looking at Justin Fields that up until his recent injury was starting for the Jets, right? After last year starting for the Steelers. And of course, we already know about, the new version of Broadway Joe, right? Starting for the Bengals, right? And so this is just another example of why the transfer portal is a good thing. The purists out there, you'd be amazed how many people just come run up on me. I could be at HEB and they want to come debate. I'm like, dude, I'm just here to get some grapes. Ashley's got my list. I got to stay in because, you don't want to go through aisles where everything's not in order. You want to go from the produce over to the meats and then go down to the bread aisle.
Absolutely.
I got people rolling up on me, wanting to debate about, I don't like all this. Well, this is a prime example because what if Joe Burrow didn't get to leave Ohio State? Right now, he's probably not in the league. What if Justin Fields doesn't leave Georgia to go to Ohio State? Maybe he's not in the league, right? They have NFL talent, clearly. We see that, but they wouldn't have had the opportunity because just like how we talked about getting film, right, on the high school level for colleges to like you, got to get film in college for the pros to like you. It's just the way of the world. Yeah. And quarterback is a very sensitive position because it only can be one. And so I love that this story played out the way that it did, especially for Joe, that kind of was looking like getting the short end of the stick out of this whole, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon that you just kind of gave us. But now we look at an opportunity to where, all these young men are getting to live their dream, but it started with the portal.
Yes, absolutely. And it speaks to the hypotheticals of what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if Joe Burrow doesn't have that opportunity to transfer out?
Right.
What happens to his career?
Right.
How does that affect? I would argue pretty solidly that LSU doesn't win that national championship in 2019. We don't know the name Ed Orgeron. We don't know about Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and a lot of those guys because of that opportunity to better your team through acquiring transfers.
Right. No, exactly. And look, at the end of the day, right, we talk about being able to show yourself, right, and get film out there. Well, before we close the show, we got something that we want to show you guys. Young man that we represent here, Jake Sneed, amazing tight end, 2027, here at John Cooper High School, private school here, very top 25 in the nation, I would say, Jake, academically.
Absolutely.
But we have a young man that is going viral, Jake. Over 3 million views off of a video that I'm going to say was your video. You're saying it's not your video. It's okay.
So, yeah.
But we're going to just roll with, this is our show. It's our podcast. But we got Jake Sneed, tight end number 2, coming out of the gate. It's not so much as the catch. He catches everything, but it's this right here. Oh, look at that. Popping the neck, strolling around. Well, apparently he's on TikTok, and people are saying that he don't need to hit it right. I don't know what the dance is supposed to be. I know you and Computer Jesus said that it was good and that y'all thought he hit it well. In fairness, y'all are 2 white men as well, so I don't know.
Let's be very clear here. Hispanic white passing, all right? Let's be very clear here, Jake.
Right. Hey, you know
Hispanic white passing.
That's fair. That is fair. You and Computer Jesus probably do got some salsa in you. So then I stand corrected. However, apparently there's 3.1 million people that have watched this, and the majority of them are agreeing with the guy that made the post. So I don't know. I haven't seen what the dance is supposed to look like. I don't know the whole TikTok world when it comes to let's go create a dance and see if we can go viral. But at the end of the day, like the great Howard Stern said, whether it's good publicity, bad publicity, it's still what, Jake?
It's publicity.
Jake went viral.
People know who Jake Sneed is now. They know who number 2 for John Cooper is because of that dance. But I'll stand by my point too. I didn't think it was awful.
Me either. Real talk, I did. I mean, he spent the football. Computer Jesus, we can put it up one more time so we can break down not the touchdown catch, but let's break down the after.
So this is my angle on it. This is my video that we shot when we went out and covered John Cooper.
Okay, so there's the span. So the span is playing. Hey,
it's kind of snappy. It's kind of snappy.
I thought that he started kind of bouncing his neck at the right time when he spin his arm. Like we can get one more playthrough with that Computer Jesus, just so we can show the fans our detailed breakdown of how that looks. But I mean, you're looking at a situation of. Well, there we are. We're back live. little dark screen. Here we go. Last time, Computer G. Sorry for that. We did not rehearse this during the pre-show, but we got it. Spin and then the hit.
I think that's what does it for me is that little snap.
Yeah.
That little roundabout snap that does it for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right.
Yeah. I mean,
I've seen way worse.
And also, in fairness, the kid is 6'7".
Also true. It's hard to dance when you're working with that much body.
That's a lot of body. That's a lot of body to work with. So anyway, fun show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun show. Jake, thanks for letting us show that. I hope that you're happy that you're going viral and that you're having a good time reading all those comments.
Some hopefully better than others. Some hopefully better than others. But yes, a lot was going on here inside and outside of Protection United, but each and every part of it is due to the great folks of y'all watching at home, giving us this continued support, shooting us the videos, giving us the highlights, being sure to mention us on our social media platforms. It truly does mean the most. But that does it for this great action-packed episode of the Protect You podcast. Jake Wilson, as always, alongside Jay Mickens, our excellent producer, Justin Woods, and we will catch you on the next one. See you around.